that not only this our craft is in danger to be set at naught, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worshipeth. Great is Diana of the Ephesians. So here we have a comic book character. Isis, Wonder Woman, Xena, warrior princess, all modeled after this one female goddess. She is called in the book of Acts Diana. Great is Diana of the Ephesians. But they also mention that Asia and the whole world worships her. The Greeks called her Diana. The Romans called her Venus. Aphrodite, the god of Eros, or lovemaking. She is the fertility goddess. Did you know that Diana and Isis, the same thing? Isis, Ishtar, Ashtaroth from the Old Testament, whom God said you're not to worship, not have anything to do with it. So Wonder Woman and Isis, God said you're not supposed to have anything to do with them. You're not supposed to follow them. The enemies of God. Other names all throughout history. The Mayans worshiped the fertility goddess. The Aztecs, the Peruvians, the ancient Indians, Native Americans worshiped. The Indians from India worshiped her. I think she was Shakti. Many other names given to her, but it's the same goddess. Her real name in the Bible is Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Now, something, if you read the scriptures, you understand and know that the earth is always characterized as a woman. The earth opened her mouth to drink Abel's blood and so on, and you'll see that. The earth has a womb, like waters issued forth from a womb. When the fountains of the great deep broken up in the days of the flood, God described that as like waters coming out of a womb. So the earth is always pictured as a woman. Hence, mythology always attributes the earth as a goddess of fertility. In other words, the power of the woman to produce or generate life gives her this godlike character. So the earth itself is pictured as Gaia, the goddess of fertility, the goddess of green. So I want you to think about this. The sun god shining down on the productive earth, and it produces fruit. Where does fruit come? It hangs on trees. Where do the trees come from? The leaves, the green leaves on the trees bring in the power source from the sun. So it's like the sun joining with the earth to create these fruits. Think about that idea. So we have the sun god mating with Isis, Osiris and Isis coming together to produce Horus. He's like the fruit that's on the tree of knowledge of good and evil that we're not supposed to partake of, not supposed to have anything to do with. Ted Turner, Turner Broadcasting, a New Ager, okay, worships the earth. So he invents this cartoon character, this comic book superhero called Captain Planet. And he's green, and he says, the power is yours. And you find these teenagers, these children, who represent earth, air, fire, water, and then heart or spirit or ether. And they have these powers inside of them. And they decide to use them for good, because Gaia, the mother goddess, is going, oh, the bulldozers are pushing down the trees and they're harming me. It's hurting me. Oh, we need someone to save the planet. So she teaches the children that if they join forces, they can create a force. Think about it. Elemental witchcraft. They can create a force that will bring forth, coming up out of the pit, Captain Planet. Spirit of the earth, Gaia, bringing forth Captain Planet, the green man. You see, and we don't see it much in America, although we do, we just don't recognize it. Captain Planet is a derivative of the green man, or in England he's referred to as Jack on the Green. The English people, they love the word Jack. There's Jack and the Beanstalk, Jack on the Green, One-Eyed Jack. Anyway, Jack on the Green, the green man. You'll see him always characterized in sculptures or in paintings or ornamentation as a green face of leaves and twigs and sticks and branches and things like that. Talking trees, as it were. We have that same idea here in America. He's called the jolly green giant. He is the god of the earth. He is the son of the productive earth who has mated with the sun. That's who the jolly green giant is. We have a superhero character named after Jack on the Green, or the Green Man, who is a picture of the Antichrist, the Green Arrow. Who else? Robin Hood. Notice that the Green Arrow sort of looks like Robin of the Hood. Robin of the Hood, always dressed in green. He was a picture of this superhero who beat down the evil, bad people and was a helper of the good people. See, these stories have been told for centuries. Back in the old days of England, he was Robin of the Hood. Now he's the Green Arrow. Now he's the Hulk, another green man. What does the Bible have to say about these guys? I'm just showing you that the Bible is telling you who these characters really are. Deuteronomy 12:2, ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess served their gods. Remember what gods are, evil angels. Upon the high mountains and upon the hills, under every green tree, a sacred place, one of the most sacred places in order to worship this god Baal, or this dying god Tammuz, was always under trees like evergreens or things like that. When did people start putting evergreen trees in their houses? Think about it, all right? I'm not condemning anybody for having a Christmas tree. I don't do that. But this idea, let's talk about the Druids for a minute. The Druids always worshipped oak trees, and there's a reason why. Some worshipped pine trees, and so the pine cone was a sacred symbol of the offspring, or what came out of the pine tree. This is why the gland, the eye of Horus inside of your brain, is called the pineal gland, the pineal gland, because it actually looks like a little pine cone. The pine cone represents what came out of the tree, the fruit that the tree produced. Are you following me here? Because the idea is that Osiris was killed by this evil Nephthys, and Isis took his body and hid it inside of a wooden casket or a tree, the trunk of a tree. That's where she hid him at. And so he awaits resurrection out of the tree. So this is why in the Old Testament days, when they went to worship Baal or Tammuz, the dying god, they did so worshiping under a green tree. God said in Psalm 37:35, I have seen the wicked in great power, notice the wicked, spreading himself like a green bay tree. You know what that is? The emperors of Rome were adorned with a green bay laurel, like a crown. The Olympians, stop right here. The Olympians, the gods who dwelt on Mount Olympus, and their offspring, those who could do the heroic feats. So they had the Olympic Games, where the mighty men would perform feats of great strength. They would wrestle in the gymnos. Gymnos is where we get the word gymnastics and gymnasium. Gymnos is a Greek word for naked. You know why? Because when guys grappled back then, they didn't wear any clothes. They wrestled naked. And the reason why was so that your opponent could not use your clothes against you. Pagans did that, not Christians. But anyway, look here. They decided a few years ago at the Olympic Games to adorn everybody's head with these green bay laurel crowns. A crown, a king. Think of that. That's what that's a picture of, the green man. The green bay laurel. Then we get into the god Mercury. I talked about him a little while ago. That's who Wonder Woman has part of the power. She has the swiftness of Mercury. Mercury is a messenger god. He's a guide of the souls to the underworld, which is hell. In other words, he's taking everybody to hell. Sort of what it means. He's similar to Hermes. He is, watch this now, this is very important. He is the bridge between the God world and the earth. He's like the messenger between it. He joins them together, and I'll show you what that means in a little bit. He is a messenger, hence he is an angel. That's what the word angel means, a messenger or a message bearer. He's a keeper of the mysteries, the mystery doctrines. Let's see here. Morals and Dogma is called an esoteric book. And those who take Freemasonry seriously don't let anybody in on their secrets. They don't like to see, they're calling themselves now, we're not a secret society. We're a society with secrets. Have you ever heard of something being hermetically sealed? That means it's based upon the god Hermes or Mercury, in that he was a keeper of the secrets, keeper of the secret doctrine. We can't tell anybody what this is about. He's the author of a book called the Emerald Tablet. The Emerald Tablet was this idea of, I'll explain it like this. The civilization before the earth in Atlantis had all this advanced knowledge of immortality and stuff like that, knowing that the world was going to be destroyed with a flood, wrote these secret mystery doctrines down on 2 pillars. That's the same pillars of Jacob and Boaz that are in the temple. And wrote these secret mysteries down on these 2 pillars so they could survive the flood. Hermes then found the pillars and wrote it down in what's called the Emerald Tablet. What's written on the Emerald Tablet is the key to man's immortality. In other words, how man becomes a god. It is sort of like the anti-Bible, the lost word. Now, the real word of God is Jesus Christ and His Bible, His Word. So the lost word of Masonry, and the Emerald Tablet, and the keys to man's immortality and all this stuff, it's the Antichrist. That's what Mercury is a messenger of. So notice that Mercury, he's got a rod in his hand with these little serpents on it. Notice that he has wings on his head. That just kind of looks weird. So he is an angel with wings. He's a god. And he has a rod in his hand with DNA on it and wings. Here's another rendition of that. It's called the caduceus. Notice the 2 serpents. They represent man's DNA. And coming out of man's DNA is a rod with wings. Now remember, one of the names for Jesus in the Old Testament was the rod. Do you remember how when Moses cast his rod to the ground that it became a serpent? That rod was a picture of Christ. Pharaoh's magicians did the exact same thing. The rod. Their rods became serpents. That rod is with wings is a picture of an evil angel. The beast. The Antichrist. I was looking for graphics like this one. I came across this one and I went, oh. You remember House? Now, let me go into this just for a minute. Back in the old days, when I was growing up, you had guys like Mannix and Cannon. You remember Cannon? Big fat guy, had a car phone. That was so cool. Mannix just duked it out with people and stole their gun. Okay? But now we have these superhero sleuth detectives like The Mentalist. I watch The Mentalist. The Mentalist who has this ability to read people and tell whether or not they're telling the truth, and he's deductive reasoning. We even have